All right, guys, college essentials. You might have already started college, or if you're like me, your college starts in a few days. And these are all necessities in order for you to destroy this semester. First thing, technology. You guys have to invest in a nice laptop. Do not be one of those guys that have those $200 or $300 Chromebooks. They barely even work. It's so difficult for you to open programs and even stay up to date with stuff that your teacher has given you. It's really annoying. It's a huge headache, and you don't want to have to be reliant on either using your friend's laptop or having to use the school laptop because there could be a good chance you can't make it to campus one day, and then you're trying to do your work online, and it's just a huge mess. Make sure the laptop has high storage because I can't tell you how many times that since I cheaped out and I got a laptop with shorter amount of storage, I have to always be deleting things. I have to scroll through a bunch of important documents, try to figure out what I don't need, what can be expendable, and delete it. But if I just spent a little bit more money, had the extra storage, I wouldn't have to worry about it. I'd save myself a lot of time, and definitely recommend you guys do the same. Also, make sure your laptop has a long battery life. If your laptop is old, it might be worn out and it doesn't charge as fast and it won't last on a normal run like the amount of battery you're going to get for let's say an hour or two quickly is used, and it's just annoying having to always be next to an outlet. And also bring your chargers, guys. I remember one time I drove all the way to campus just to realize I didn't have my charger in my backpack, and guess what? My laptop was at 5%, and I had to drive all the way back home. Don't make the same mistake as me, guys. Invest in about 2 to 3 chargers. I would keep one in my bag at all times. I'd keep one in my room and then another just in the packaging. That way, in case you lose one, you always know where you can find another. And if it's always in your bag, you're not going to forget it because you're always going to bring your bag to campus, hopefully. I've seen people try to use iPads instead of using like a normal laptop, and it's always the bio majors that are doing it. So I guess they can run with it, but for us business majors, I wouldn't really recommend it. I mean, there are some convenience to it. Like it is a lot smaller, it's a lot lighter, and if you're worried about not having enough space in your backpack to put it, I guess just use that. And I've seen it as more convenience for those people that like to write out their notes. Instead of having to write on a piece of paper, you can buy a stylus and then just write out on a Google Doc or however you want to go about doing that. And also, guys, biggest thing, the time management app. I love me some Google Calendar. This is not sponsored, but Google Calendar has been holding it down for about 2 to 3, maybe even 4 years actually. It lets you pick the time in which you have to do an activity, color code it, even get a reminder 30 minutes prior. Amazing, amazing. And there's also an option for most syllabuses that you can just transfer all of the notes and all of the due dates strictly to the calendar. That way you don't even have to manually insert everything, and you'll literally not miss any due dates, and you won't miss any assignments that you possibly could have if you were to manually enter it. Next, food. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. I'm telling you right now, bro, if you are dorming or even if you're a commuter, because I know some colleges do that, do not buy the meal plan. Do not, do not, do not, do not, do not, do not. The meal plan, while yes, it's convenient that you don't have to pay every single time and you just swipe, the amount of overpaying you do for the amount of swipes that you aren't going to use, there are so many college students that have hundreds of swipes left over at the end of the semester. And the thing about most colleges and most campuses, they don't let you carry it over to the next semester. So you have to use all of those swipes before the semester ends because then you're ultimately just going to restart at zero. So what do people do when they have a whole bunch left? They just they let their friends come in. I even had a buddy who he had so many swipes left over that every time every time he'd come into the cafeteria he would just in the dining hall he would just swipe 4 times, just even though he was going in one time, he just had that many left and he just didn't care. He literally just had to get rid of it. So don't put yourself in that situation. It's not fun at all. I'd honestly recommend that you meal prep, especially if you are a commuter, because having to buy so many different meals. For example, if you're down there for morning till night, if you get there at like 10 a.m. and you leave around 7 p.m., that's at least 3 meals that you're going to want to eat. But a lot of the restaurants near campus overcharge, and they're going to charge you about $15 minimum for a meal. So you're looking at $45 a day on food. Instead, do this every Sunday or every Saturday. Dedicate one of those days, whichever one you have more time. I want you to meal prep. Make food for the entire week. It's a lot easier. It saves you a whole lot of money, and it can be simple food. Don't have to. You don't have to be whipping it up like you're in a five-star restaurant. I'm telling you, pasta, chicken and rice, quesadillas, soup, anything you can make, a sandwich, a bunch of sandwiches, breakfast wraps, whatever. It's so easy to meal prep. You just got to give yourself about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours on the weekend. It's a lot of time that you have to put towards it, but you save and you don't have to cook throughout the week. And you're not gonna always want to cook. That's one thing I realized too is after a long day at school, you're just gonna come home and you're going to want to sit down and eat. And if there's no food, what are you gonna do? You're gonna order DoorDash or you're going to go to a nearby fast food restaurant. That's just how it is, guys. I recommend you just carry it in a tote bag because if you try to put all your meal preps in your backpack is going to look huge and you're going to look like a freshman and you don't want to be one of those freshmen and it doesn't look nice. You look kind of weird, bro. Stop doing that. Also, you should have a few go-to spots in the area, and this kind of contradicts a little bit to what I just said because you're gonna be like, "Didn't you just say bring food from home?" Yes, that is always the goal, but there are going to be times that you either forget or you are just too lazy to meal prep that week, whatever, and you're out with your friends and you just want to go to a food spot. Perfect. Know a few that are all different ethnicities, different groups, depending on who you're with and depending on the mood you are feeling and it's very beneficial to know these spots off the top of your head because you can always treat people to these areas or introduce them to these areas because some people on your campus aren't actually going to know the best spots are on campus and you look pretty cool and you look pretty intelligent and what's important if you know how to show people a good time. It's a very good networking skill as well. You can meet up with recruiters at coffee shops or any person of value that they could potentially change your life one day. Bring them to these areas and make them explore campus. Good to know a few spots. Very beneficial.